We're in a unique situation because I think almost everybody in the Young Turks audience knows that I supported a different candidate in the primary. Okay,
Alison.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. Okay.
There's no elephant in the room.
Okay, that's really true.
She's good people. She's
yeah.
good people.
Well, literally in California, there's no elephant in the room. it's two Democrats running. But in the beginning, there was 37 people running, and Alison Hartson was one of them, and you were another. And you won that race, you and Feinstein, and moved on. But I'll tell you why I wanted to support Alison, and then you tell me why I was wrong not to support you.
Sure.
Okay. So.
And I will.
Okay, and you will. Good. So I was worried that you took corporate PAC money, and I was worried that that you were an establishment politician who had climbed the ladder, and I was worried that that's the pattern that you would follow if you got into the Senate. So why was I wrong about that?
A couple things. One, let me say something about Alison. Alison, I thought was a wonderful candidate. I love her values. I love her convictions. I said it very clearly in one of the town hall forums, in fact, with Bernie Kratz of Los Angeles. If she were to make it to the top two, I would be openly and publicly in support of Alison. I love her values again, I love her convictions, and I think she was a very exciting candidate. Listen, I'm the youngest child of a single immigrant mother with a third-grade education. My mother was a housekeeper. She had the courage of her convictions to cross a border against a current of bigotry. And this was a woman who worked her fingers to the bone. And this was a woman who was both a mother and a father, who put the roof over my head, who put the clothes on my back, who put the food on the table. I had never been elected to any political office in my life. I was never a city council member, a county board supervisor, school board member, community college trustee, a water board, young college Democrat, ASB president, senior class president. I'd never been elected to anything, zero zilch, until I ran for the state assembly. I was lucky enough to win the state assembly, and then I left the state assembly early and ran for the state senate. These are very dangerous times in our nation's history. These are very unprecedented times in our nation's history, with Donald Trump, who occupies the White House today, who's a very clear and present danger to our economic prosperity, to our values, to our progressive values, and to our people. So I made a decision that I think that someone needs to run. And you're right, there were a lot of candidates. When you open up that ballot, there looked like the white pages. There was 32 candidates. A lot of folks didn't know who Alison was. A lot of folks didn't even know who I was either, truth be told. And I wasn't even sure if I'd make it into the top two, but I did. And I've been storming the state of California up and down. And let me be very clear about one thing too, because you make a very good point, and I respect the point. I'm not accepting corporate PAC money into my campaign for U.S. Senate. There's only one check that I've received, and that check is from Univision. And Univision, they're my sisters and brothers. They've been with me in the trenches since day one. They're the legitimate news source for so many Latino immigrants, working families up and down the state of California, throughout the entire country. And that's the only one I've received, not receiving one single penny from the corporate world. And I do support public financing. I believe there is too much money in our campaigns today, and I think that does influence good men and women on both sides of the aisle. And I've made it very clear, I'm not taking a penny from corporate America.
You mentioned Bernie Kratz earlier, and it does look like there's, and I certainly believe there is, a fight for the soul of the Democratic Party. And so to oversimplify, people I'm sure are curious which side you come out on. So now you might agree with their policies in different areas, et cetera, and it's not to say that one group is the bad guys necessarily, but there's the Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna, Ocasio-Cortez wing, then there's the Schumer, Pelosi, Tom Perez wing. So is there one wing that you identify with more?
Well, I know Ro Khanna, and Ro Khanna is a good friend of mine. Ro Khanna is a strong supporter of my candidacy, along with Jimmy Gomez and a handful of other progressive Democrats like Raul Grijalva from the state of Arizona, who is the chair or was the chair of the Progressive Caucus in the Congress. So these are very strong supporters of mine. I actually had the honor of having dinner with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just recently. We were both speakers back to back at the Netroots conference in New Orleans. So just about maybe a month and a half ago. I love her politics. I love where she stands. I love the courage of her conviction. It concerns me the attacks that she has been receiving, as if somehow, some way, she's a subversive. She's a strong young woman with the courage of her convictions. She has very strong values, and she says, "These are proposals I have, and these are the proposals. If given an opportunity, I'd like to move forward in the Congress." There's nothing wrong with that, because folks in the middle and folks on the right have the opportunity to move their proposals, and we have the debate to see which proposals are much stronger. So I have a strong affinity for these individuals in the Congress, and if given an opportunity to be your voice in Washington, Cenk, I'd be working closely with them along with everybody else.